Good morning, everybody. We're ready to get started. Wonderful. Virtual people, can you hear me? You can give me like a thumbs up or something. That would be great. Sweet. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate it. Awesome. So welcome to the documentation station. We are going to talk about the why and how of GEAR UP Wyoming documentation. Essentially, we're going to talk about what we're asking of you and why. So first, we're going to start off, hold on, with a little introduction. This is me. I'm Maddie. I am the data management and compliance coordinator for GEAR UP Wyoming. I basically run our whole database and create all sort of compliance and directions for people who use it. I also do all of our calculations for our APR. I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics and statistics, and I'm currently pursuing my master's degree in data analytics. I enjoy going outdoors, I fish, I hike, whatever, but I have these two pictures up here because I want to show you my best friends in the whole entire world, my two dogs. You can't really see this one here because it's kind of a dark picture, but that is my chocolate lab Lincoln, and this is my Jack Russell Shorty Hunter. He's a big old baby and loves to be held. Anyway, let's get started. Yes, okay, making sure I didn't skip a slide. Okay, we're just gonna go over some general housekeeping and little announcements things first. We're gonna do some highlights of some awesome data of the wonderful work you guys do. We're just gonna briefly go over the new documentation available to you guys, and then a quick update and a reminder about quality backup documentation. And then we're gonna go into the real meat and potatoes of the reasons why we do this and why we are asking you to do these things, because that is probably the most important piece of this. And then all of my examples involve some activities and some interaction between you guys. So general housekeeping and announcements. I'm going to briefly introduce you to our new documentation. It's again going to be brief. Most of the changes made were for layout, restructuring based on our new branding, and or just adding some information or rewording some things to stay compliant with stuff. And we'll talk a little bit more about compliance later. If you want any of the copies of these things, they're all available on our G Drive. If you do not have access to that, please ask me or any of your site directors. They should give those to you. I'm going to leave plenty of opportunities for questions. So either put them in the chat, Alex is monitoring that, or raise your hand if you're in person, or just let me know you have a question. And finally, I talk really fast. If I'm talking too fast or you need me to say something again or rephrase something, let me know. I'm happy to slow down or re-explain. I should say I will try to slow down. I cannot guarantee I will, but we'll see. So some GEAR UP highlights. For our grant, we have 9 total objectives, and I can calculate 3 of them regularly. Our first objective is the number of students we serve, which is 2,000 yearly minimum. Our objective 6 is that 60% of our seniors in high school will complete their FAFSA. And objective 9 is that 45% of our parents every single year will get some sort of financial aid service. We have currently met all 3 of those objectives, which is great because our grant year ends in about 10 days. So wonderful that we've already met those. We've served 2,065 students, and 72% of our 12th graders have completed their FAFSAs, and 49.4% of our parents have been served, which is awesome. We have delivered over 10,000 hours of service for just students alone, which is, to me, insane. We recruited over 613 new students in the past year. 493 of those were actually served within the past year. We have over $2 million in scholarship match. That means Daniel's Fund, Hathaway, our scholarships. And then we have over $340,000 in dual concurrent enrollment. And then we have almost $180,000 in non-scholarship match. So essentially we're doing great. And that doesn't even include our professional development match, which is about how much, Alex, you would estimate?
Oh, I haven't looked at a number in a few months, but like 2 million.
2 million. So we're already great. And we only need about 3.4 every single year. So we are quite far ahead, which is awesome.
And we'll get match waivers this year because of the pandemic.
Yeah, so we'll get way more, but still we're doing great with that. So awesome job, you guys. I wanted to highlight these things because anybody that works with students or anybody that sees the student side of things, it is important to acknowledge all the awesome things you do for our students. So I'm going to go through 5 new pieces of documentation. The first one will be our new SCRIBE manual. SCRIBE is our database that we run things through. The next 3 are going to be sign-in sheets, and the last one is our application. We're just going to go briefly of what they are, what they're used for, and who that's kind of relevant to. And most of these things were like redesigns, just layout changes, stuff like that. Most of them are not new, but they're like updated and they look better. So first, a SCRIBE manual. This is new. This is 100% new. I took the old manual, which was, I think, 147 pages. It is now in the 60s, I believe. I basically cut out any useless information for anybody using the database other than myself. So any process you don't use or you don't need, not in there. I reworded a lot of things. I added pictures for visual learners like myself. The goal of this is to be used for current staff who need a reminder of how to do things, as well as new staff who are new to a database and may not be as comfortable learning and exploring themselves. It's just a good way to use it and to learn it. I also sent it out to all of our staff across the state and gave them the opportunity to read through it and make sure it was clear, because sometimes I know what I'm talking about, but that may not translate to others. So I made sure that worked for everyone around the state, and I combined all those edits into our final document, which should be posted after this in our G Drive. Again, if you want a copy but don't have access to G Drive, talk to me or your site coordinator. The only thing about this manual is that it does not have Objective 9 directions at this moment. The custom report that we are asking to be made should be ready by the end of the month, hopefully, fingers crossed. For those of you that don't know how to calculate Objective 9, it basically involves like 3 different spreadsheets, combining them all together, and it's a lot of steps and really confusing. So we asked the people that run our database to create a custom report for us so that we can calculate it easier. Any questions in the chat?
No, not yet.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions before I move on? Wonderful. So new sign-in sheets. I will show you them in a little bit. Essentially, they're just updated with a new logo and a new layout because we got rebranded this past year. We have a brand new logo, so we thought we would take this opportunity to add that new logo. We also reformatted some things just to indicate that all of our sections are not optional. They are mandatory based on federal guidelines. So we just rephrased some things so that everybody understood that. And we gave a bit more room for notes and added a section to add the method of contact for students. And again, quick reminder, each section of your sign-in sheet must be filled out. So if you have a student in the individual service form, you gotta fill out each section of that row. We also created a new document for group services. It's essentially just additional information because if sometimes we don't have enough information to know what was happening in this service. Yes, we have SERFs, but for non-SERF related group services, this is especially helpful because for us, the sign-in sheet doesn't indicate what was discussed. So it's just kind of a way to indicate what was talked about, what the event was, and give us a little bit more background about what these services are. It isn't very long. It's just a quick little sheet, just so we, again, know what's going on. So this is 2 of our service documents. These are just the individual service sign-in sheets. The left one is the student service form and the right one is the staff service form. The difference between these is the student one is used for one student throughout the month, while the staff one can be used for different students throughout the month. Because if you notice on the student one, there are the 2 smaller columns. Those are for initials and a date. While in the staff one, there is an individual box for all of the students' information, their school and their signature. So it's just if you see a kid quite a few times throughout the month, you can use the student one, or if you have a bunch of individual services scheduled like one after another, you can use the staff one. Again, the only reminder I have for the staff individual one is that if you have student confidential information, please don't let other students see it when they sign their row. That's my only concern about that, but that's how you use them. And starting August 16th, no old forms will be used. So you must use these new ones. I will make sure I send them out to all of our GEAR Up directors, who will send them out to you and make sure you have access to these probably today, so that you can start using them, or at least looking at them and making sure you're using them. And also, if each section is not filled out, you will probably get this returned to you to get filled out. So save yourself some time and fill them all out before you turn them in. Yes, Alex.
I have a question from the chat.
Yeah, what's up?
It's from Callie. She says, if we do a phone call and then document that phone call, and then send a follow-up email, would the follow-up email count as a separate service?
No, it's a follow-up email. Those would be connected. You
Okay.
can count it as virtual or telephonic, however you want to do that. But it would count as one service because it's just a follow-up to that service. It's kind of connected.
So you would just combine the email with the
Phone number, yeah.
call.
Those would both be the backup documentation recommended.
Okay,
And we also have a section on these for adding the phone number here. Or if you Zoomed with them, you just say, I Zoomed or whatever, just kind of how you contacted them. That kind of, it helps us know. And also this little column at the very end here is for all of my database entry people. It is a little checkbox for when you enter service participation into Scribe, then you don't lose your place and you know it has been entered. Any other questions?
not in the chat.
Awesome, great. Our applications. So the application, I'll show you in a sec. I have it up on here. It's the same exact application as it was before, but I just updated it with our color scheme and our new logo, as well as I reformatted it so that it had margins, because the old one really didn't. And sometimes information was getting cut off or it used too much ink. It's a lot more simple. It has margins. The print is bigger. It's the same information, but it's on 2 pages now. Just so you can see it better, you can read it better. It'll be easier for entry, hopefully. There's a couple differences. One is, I'm actually very excited for it. This little baby right here, we've had some issues with our photo permission. Bless you, some parents sign it without thinking about what it is. So instead of asking for clarification, we just put a yes or a no checkbox and then an initial. So then parents decide, yes, I want my child's photo permission, or no, I don't want permission for my child. They don't have to think about it. And then they just initial it. And then I use Casper as my example. So not all of our applications will say Casper. I'm gonna let you know that now. I will change it up for all of our sites, and I will put their logo right about here. And then, yeah, and the only other thing was, hold on. Oh yes, I added a little blurb up into here just about that we can share their information for their duration of participation instead of just that first year, which was kind of vague in the old wording. We just got this design approved, so we are going to be translating it into Spanish shortly and sending that out as soon as possible. Awesome. Any other questions about that? Wonderful. Okay, our intake forms in our senior survey. Congratulations, we are no longer doing intake forms. I don't know if they were tedious to any of you, but they were quite tedious to me. We have a new external evaluator. Our old one put in place the intake form because they wanted some sort of baseline of where students were at when they joined the program, and then they would survey them as they graduated high school to see where they are at the end of the program. We noticed we weren't really using this information, so we as a group decided no more intake forms as of now. Our new external evaluators have been helping us rework the way we're looking at our students and their services we're giving them. So starting now, don't give new students the intake form. We're not going to use that data anymore. Instead, we're going to start working with a senior survey. So we're going to be delivering a survey to our seniors now, starting, I believe, next week. I'm not fully sure. Kristen would know. She's the one in charge of those directions. Until sometime in September, and it's going to be an online survey that they fill out through our database. It's more needs and outcomes based. Basically, it focuses on where are our students now, what are their plans after high school, and where do they, like, what do they need from us? And the goal of that is that if if they can do it outside of working with you, which is completely fine, or they can do it with you. But then when you get the responses from those surveys, you can then form your services around their needs. If they need information on scholarships or how to enroll in college or any of those things, you know they need that, and then you can use that to help them their senior year. At the end, so come spring, April, May, roughly, we're going to be sending out a follow-up to see what they learned throughout the year. Did they gain the information they needed? Do they feel prepared for college or whatever plans they decide? It is ready to go, and so it just needs to be sent out. For future years, we will be sending out the pre-survey in the spring of their 11th grade year, just so that we have more time to administer that to them. The reason it's a little crunched is because we just created it last month. And then as for intake forms, we are considering doing some sort of periodic survey with our other students just to see how their plans change over time. What we noticed with our intake forms was that we only had point A and point B. There was nothing in the middle, and it felt like it was too late at that point to help them. So if we do decide to do some sort of periodic survey with every other student or parents, it will be more frequent throughout the years, just so we have some point of fluctuation or where things change, so that we can intervene as soon as possible with those kids and hopefully help them where we need to. Awesome. Do I have any questions on this before I move forward? Awesome. Awesome. So backup documentation is, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this by now. We need good backup documentation. That means each section of our sign-in sheets are filled out. It is signed by you and or the student if it was an in-person service. If the participant could not sign, we need to have backup documentation to show that the service occurred. It's not because we don't think the service happened. We just want to ensure that we have all necessary documentation to show that these services occurred and what exactly happened. So can anyone give me examples of required backup documentation for virtual services?
An email confirming a meeting or a follow-up after it.
Yeah, email screenshots are a great idea, especially for follow-ups. Other ones could be Zoom logs.
You have text screenshots in the chat.
Yep, that's for my next one. Telephonic or text services would be text screenshots or a phone log. Just some way to verify what conversation happened so that we can all see what that is. Just again, we have a time and what you talked about so that verifies that service happened. Okay, what about in-person services? Their signature. Yeah, good job, guys. We just need to, what?
Remind logs.
Remind logs are also good. We also have Magoosh and stuff like that, which you can pull reports for. So if you're doing virtual job chat or a Magoosh, you can pull reports to show that that student did those things. But for in-person, yeah, we just need their signature. If it's an individual service, got to be on the individual service sheet. If it's a group service, it needs to be on that group service sign-in sheet.
I just want to add, did someone say text screenshots?
Yeah, we already went through them. Maddie's been helpful.
Oh, thank you, Maddie.
So we're good.
Also, Amanda says that the sign-in sheet looks awesome.
Oh, good. Thank you, Amanda. Awesome. Okay, so here's the biggest piece of this presentation, the why. I understand that it can feel kind of tedious, or that we've been on you guys really a lot about getting good documentation and making sure everything's good and clear and having all the backup documentation necessary. I understand that. It's not because I don't think these services happen, and it's not because I'm mad at you and want to punish you. It really isn't. We want to stay compliant with federal regulations. Being compliant means for us that we show the government that their funds are $3.4 million every single year is being used appropriately. Not only can we be audited on our financials, but we can also be audited on our student programs. We can be audited on our APR that we submitted in the past. For those of you that aren't aware, our APR is our annual performance report. It is a report that we send into the government every single year to show them what kind of services we delivered, how our outcomes are. So those objectives I mentioned at the beginning, we have to display what we got on those objectives and if we succeeded or not. The goal is to succeed every single year to show that we are a successful grant. But if we aren't successful or we had backups or there's no way we can calculate some objectives, like during COVID, we couldn't calculate ACT scores because no ACT happened. It was just, it's explaining why. So the reason we want good backup documentation is to just essentially, if some auditor comes in and goes, here's this service, show me it happened. We can go, here's this documentation to show it happened. In the past, we have had to remove services because lack of documentation, which amounted to about 100 parents and students for our grant, which luckily we had some backups put in place that we didn't fall behind on those two objectives. But if we had, that could have been very concerning. So we just want to ensure that all of our documentation is sufficient and good, which is why your coordinators or your sites may be a little bit more strict about making sure every single section is filled out, making sure you've signed it, making sure you have documentation to prove this happened, essentially. It also improves our ability to get refunded. So if you want to continue working for GEAR Up past 2024, we need to be able to get refunded. We need to show the government that we are a successful grant and that we deserve this money to help our students. It also protects you and your institution that you're in. If we get in trouble and we find out that money is not being spent on student programming, you may face fines or your institution may face fines, which is not good for anybody. And then I didn't put it on here, but last but not least, students. These kids need us. And if we're truly making an impact on their lives, we can't help them if we don't exist. So if you're compliant and you show us that these services are happening, we can keep getting money and we can keep serving these kids and we can keep helping them get to college and get a better career and a better life for themselves that they would not otherwise. And I really wanted to highlight that because if you care about the students you serve, you would want to do this well. Awesome. Do I have any questions about this or any concerns?
No.
Wonderful.
Unless the live audience does.
Awesome. We're gonna do activities. Yay. We're gonna start with a Kahoot. So get your phones out or your computer, whatever. A Kahoot. Still share. Okay, cool. I signed in. No, I don't want you. Go away. Oh. All right. Okay. So once it's already good to go. All right. So go to kahoot.it, type in that little code there, and we'll get started momentarily.
Really? Really? Oh my God.
That's okay. Yesterday, Ray made his character an office joke.
What was it?
He wanted to be Michael Scotch, but and they didn't think of Michael Scorn, so he was Michael Scoot. It was great.
Crazy.
All right, I'll give you guys about 1 more minute and then we'll get started.
I did say nickname. You're right. You're not wrong.
Don't have to be you, but you just chose to be boring.
I did. I'm really boring.
Great. Okay. Yes, good to go. Okay, let's get started. What are the 4 types of required services activities for students? Hey, a couple people actually got it right. No one got it right yesterday, but that was my fault. So for those of you that don't know, I didn't know either. We have 4 mandated types of activities we must deliver to students by the government. We must deliver students financial aid, encourage them to take rigorous academic curricula. We must increase the high school graduation rate and increase college enrollment. So essentially services that help these goals. With rigorous academic curricula, we don't have a specific code for it right now, but that would be essentially encouraging your kids to take AP or dual and concurrent classes in high school. And that would essentially be some sort of counseling advising service. But yeah, that is the 4 types of service that is required through the government. I also learned this week. Yeah. Okay, next question. Why should you diversify service types?
I picked the wrong.
I did.
No, they're all right. Every single one. There are a lot of different reasons we diversify service types. These are all good reasons to diversify service types. GEAR UP scholarships, we have a scholarship rubric that students have to earn 12 points and they get a scholarship from us. That's diversifying service types helps that because the more wide range of services you go to, the more points you're likely to get. Increasing college readiness means that the student has all the information they need in any areas they may have been lacking, which means diversifying. Our APR and our 4 required service types require that we do, those service types, and we diversify. The APR does ask us about the service types we delivered. Some of those even include college visits or field trips or anything like that. So again, it could be helpful. And then meeting student needs. Some students need job shadowing. Some students just need you to help them do the FAFSA. If you diversify service types and offer it to all your students, the students that are lacking in certain areas will have the opportunity to get the information they need. So good job, everybody. You got one right. If a student doesn't want to go to college, they should fill out their FAFSA. True or false? It's true. Good job, guys. Some students may not think they want to go to college, but again, we really want to reinforce backup plans are a great idea. And if they fill out their FAFSA now and they don't use it, nothing happens. But then if they decide to go back to college later, they already know how to fill everything out. Then there's no question about if they can do it, and they will do it most likely right the first time. So even if they don't use it now, they may use that knowledge later. And again, they might go, I want to do the workforce. And then they go, I want to go to college now. Then they didn't lose out on any of the need-based scholarships that are usually given out very quickly. And then they have still access to that. And they didn't get docked for deciding they may not want to go to college at first. So that is just a good thing to do if you can. If a student doesn't want to go to college, why would college information still be helpful?
Is this another one?
Depends which one you pick. Very glad no one picked. We'll force them to go to college. Good job. Again, college is a great backup plan. They could they decide to go later. They could go into the workforce and go, I want to move up in my position and need a degree for that. They may go into the military and then use the GI Bill later. They may go on a religious mission and then come back. There's a lot of reasons that students may not go to college at first, but they could also just change their mind in the middle of the year. At 18, I didn't know what I was doing. So I feel like that's a little ridiculous to expect all of our 18-year-olds to know exactly what they're doing as well. Okay, what types of services could be given to students that don't want to go to college? Thank you. I think I'm funny. Good job. No one picked, we kicked them out. Good job. We don't do that. You can still serve them. Yes, career exploration or certificates. Post-secondary education doesn't necessarily mean a degree. It could mean a certificate program. A lot of our colleges offer certificates. And some kids may not know what they want to do, and they may not know some of these careers exist unless you show them that these careers exist. If we give them some counseling or advising about what they want to do after high school, we may either be able to change their mind or may be able to make a plan with them and then several backup plans. And some of those backup plans may include college. Also job shadowing and educational field trips. Again, a kid may not know this job exists until you show them it exists, because there's a wide variety of things you can do out there. And the more you expose them to, they may want to do it or they may not. And if they don't want to do it, it crosses an option off the list, and the list is now shorter of things they could do. Oh, Taylor's killing it. Madison, you're creeping up though. All right. Teaching students why they do these things is just as important as the activities themselves.
It's a race. I'm just gonna click.
You gotta click as fast as you can or you don't win. Good job. Yes, this is just as important. I don't know how many of you have teenagers or work with the teenagers or remember being a teen yourself, but they don't want to do something unless they know why. If you don't tell them why you have to do something or put an extra effort to do something, they're not going to do it at all. I mean, that's true, but we work with our, well, but our teenagers we work with. You have to tell them why. If you don't explain to a kid why they're doing a thing, they're not going to do it. And if you explain to them why and they understand why, they're more likely to do it and may often become more motivated to complete the thing. I can, but I don't know if he'll listen to me. I'm just saying, if you go, I need all your tax information, I need you and your parent to come and fill out this really long form about getting financial aid, and they don't know why they're doing it, they're not going to do it. That's far too much effort for them. So now we're going to go into another section of, is this a service? True for yes, it's a service. False for no, it's a service. An email thread of you talking with a student about setting up a Zoom meeting. Is this a service?
It's a career skill.
No, it's not a career skill.
Setting up a Zoom meeting is a career skill.
Proper email etiquette is a career skill.
It's the holdout. Somebody's holding out on us.
I know. I'm gonna stop paying attention. Well, it's not a service. The Zoom meeting itself is the service, but just showing you set up a meeting isn't providing the student with any information about college or career readiness or any of that stuff. So that is technically not a service. If the Zoom meeting, you record that Zoom meeting or, the log or whatever, that would be the service, because that would be the piece of where you talk to our students about any of what GEAR Up does. Ooh, Taylor's holding out strong. Okay. A phone call with a guardian where you talk to them about upcoming events and inform them on scholarship deadlines. Is this a service? That was very fast. This is a service. You were providing a parent with external information about our scholarships and other scholarship deadlines, and you're telling them about events that they can go to and learn more information. That gives them the opportunity to ask you questions and for you to kind of make more of a baseline introduction. This may not be a very long phone call, but it is providing information to that parent. Okay, you have open office hours, no students or only non-Gear Up students visit you. Is this a service? This is not a service. We serve Gear Up students specifically. It's a service for the non-kids, but that doesn't mean anything for us. We count services for specifically Gear Up students. So if you wouldn't get any time or effort for that, it's great that you're serving your other students, but in terms of Gear Up, that's not a service. If you're serving Gear Up kids, great. Otherwise, it's not a Gear Up service. Okay, you call a parent and leave a message with a quick spiel about who you are and ask them to give you a call back. This is also not a service. You, yes, provided them information about who you are, but you didn't provide them any information related to Gear Up. If they call you back, that would be the service, because that's the time where you give them all that information, you'd have a conversation with them. Leaving a message isn't really a conversation because you don't give them the opportunity to make sure they understand any of the information or ask questions if they have it or schedule any sort of follow-up with you. Having them call you back and having that conversation with them gives them this opportunity and gives you the chance to give them all of that information in a way that they understand. Texting with a student and asking for their shirt size for an upcoming camp. Is this a service?
Music does not help because it's like intense music.
Yep, this is not a service. The camp itself is a service, but you just asking for a one quick word answer is not technically a service. You're, again, not providing the student with any information related to Gear Up. Again, the camp would be the service, but the texting pre-camp, unless there's any questions being asked and back and forth about that, it's not a service. Okay. One more. Talking with a student about enrolling in AP classes and or dual and concurrent enrollment.
No.
Yes, this is a service. Good job. This is the type of service of we encouraging our kids to do rigorous academics. AP classes doing concurrent. If you let your kids know that, hey, you can get college credit now, do it. Like that is definitely a service. Okay, now, yes, now we're going to go to our final section of what type of service is this? For those of you that don't know our service codes, I'm really sorry. This is gonna be tough. For those of you that do know our service codes, you're probably gonna do very well. Okay, you talk to a student about Hathaway curriculum and their progress with it. What type of service is this?
Oh, gosh. That one.
I was like, I know we have a couple database people in here, so I know there's a few that will know this. So you know, FAA is financial aid advising. Yep. So Hathaway is a scholarship, therefore financial aid. Yeah, oh, there's Callie. Yeah, I figured she'd start scooching up. Okay, your student runs through practice questions on Magoosh. What type of service is this? This one's a good one that you could probably guess at if you know what Magoosh is. Yes, so Magoosh is an ACT prep service. We have a subscription with it for all of our GEAR Up students. It lets you run through practice questions and videos if you get a question wrong. It even offers like, I think practice tests that you can take in the various sections. We offer free services to all of our students through this app. It's on the phone or the computer, and you can track that in Scribe. For those of you that do not know, our ACT code is literally what it is called for when you do ACT prep. That is what we coded in our system as, so. Okay, you take a group of students to WWCC where you're given a tour and talk to financial aid services. What kind of service is this? Yeah, you're learning acronyms now. Welcome to GEAR Up.
No.
Go pick one. 15 seconds.
But he's doing so well.
Also, just know that if we like wrap up in the next 5 to 10 minutes, that'd be great.
Yeah, I was gonna finish this and then do my next activity. I'm not gonna do my final one.
Okay, because we literally only have 5 to 10 minutes left.
I know. So college visit, so this is a college visit service. Our code for college visits is CVS. It stands for college visit. I understand these acronyms are a little weird. So if you don't know acronyms, I'm very sorry, but you're learning them.
And there is a key on the form.
There is a key on all of the sign-in sheets. There is, I provided a key for what the code means. So you don't have to worry about memorizing them. I just work with them constantly, and I know a lot of our database people do. So I know quite a few of them, like Callie and Taylor, who are in first and second, know these codes really well. Okay, a college freshman talks to a student about how college works, what the experience is like, and guides them towards resources. Awesome. Okay. So CAP stands for counseling advising. MEN is mentoring. The reason this is not a CAP service because it's not a GEAR Up staff member providing the service to the student. The college freshman is essentially talking to this kid about the college experience, and that would be creating some sort of mentoring relationship with that student and would help them learn about what they need in a college, what college fit would mean to them, and what kind of things they could study. And that would give them a broader perspective. I included this because I wanted to give more of a more solid example of what mentoring specifically is. By our definition, mentoring is not when a GEAR Up staff talks to a student about these things. That would be a CAP service. But when you give them a relationship with someone in the industry that they want to go into, or a professor or a college student or just a peer, they could get the chance to ask those questions that they need or learn about things in the environment or things they should ask or look for. That would be considered mentoring. Okay, this is a parent guardian service where you talk to them about FAFSA, scholarships, and the importance of financial aid. Okay, so just so we know, FCA, this is family counseling advising. This is financial. So we have two codes. This was kind of a trick question. I'm very sorry. We have codes for students and for parents. So our student financial aid code is this one, and our parent financial aid code is this one. And then this is just parent family events. So it would have mostly been between these two, which I can see that those two are also pretty popular. But yes, this stands for financial aid for families. That's what FAF is. I am very sorry I tricked some of you.
I was confident.
I'm sorry. Okay, you personally help a student with coursework and answer questions they have about lessons. Awesome. So the reason this is not a CAP service is because you're helping them with specific coursework. You are running through math problems with them. You are making sure that they understand all the information for their history assignment or anything like that. This is specific coursework related to a class. This is tutoring. We also count tutoring for if a student talks with you and then goes and works with their teacher to work on assignments and stuff. As for time and effort related to that, you get time and effort for filling out the paperwork, but you don't get time and effort for the tutoring because you're not the one delivering the tutoring. But if you are the one doing the tutoring, you get time and effort for the whole thing. But yes, this is a tutoring service. Awesome. Good job, guys.
I like how everyone who won were the virtual people.
Good job, Taylor, Amanda, and Callie. Good job, guys. Oh, and then Crystal got 4th and Alex got 5th. Good job.
Way to represent.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna do one more activity and then we'll wrap it up. This activity is called What is Missing? I'm gonna present you with a sign-in sheet. You just gotta tell me what is missing from it. It is not a race. So if you're in the virtually and you're trying to type really fast, it's okay. Alex will monitor.
Yeah.
Okay, first sign-in sheet. I serve Celeste. What is missing? Good job. The staff signature is missing. We need you to sign your sign-in sheets. If you don't sign it, it's gonna be sent back for you to sign it.
What about the student signature?
It's a phone service.
Oh.
Oh, you gotta look. Geez, Crystal. Phone service. They don't need to sign. Okay, next one. What is missing? I feel like I skipped one.
Taylor says the phone number is missing.
Yeah, good job, Taylor. It is the phone number is missing. We have this little handy dandy little space right here. It's a phone service. There's no phone number listed and we need to have it listed. So good job. Okay, what is missing? The date is missing.
And the code.
Yeah, there you go. This one has 2. So not only is there no date in the student box, we don't know when this service happened, but we also don't know what codes this service belongs to. Yes, you could read the notes and figure it out yourself, but you also don't know how long this service went for. I did skip one. Hold on. This is our last one. What is missing from this one? The notes. So notice at the very top, it is no longer called notes. It is called required service details. This is a required section. It doesn't have to be a dissertation. We do need a brief description of what everything was. So yes, in this one, the notes are missing. So that is all I have for you guys today. Do we have any questions? Wonderful. And you guys are free to go.
That was fun.
Good.
And I agree.
I'm glad.
That was the funnest activity I've ever had about coding services.
Right? I had another activity for you guys, but we don't have time for that. Also would have taken far too long.
Okay, so I'll say.
I think we got a lot of good info.
Yeah, I'm glad. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to talk to me or anybody at your site. When the next session starts.
Let me
soon-ish.
double check because I got the.
You didn't schedule a break between the first session and this
I did
session,
not.
and then you
But
gave
we're-
everyone a
but we're-
15-minute break.
But we're on track now because I made you go fast,
Oh, that's
at
fine.
least in this room.
Thank you.
All right.
When does the next session
Our
start?
next session starts at 10:45.
Awesome. You guys have until 10:45 to get a snack, go to the bathroom, make a phone call, whatever you gotta do. And we'll see you guys in 12 minutes.
Yeah, and I don't know if Christy went as fast as you did. but
Do
that was
you
awesome.
want me to exit out of this Zoom?
Actually, I